just recently celebrated Easter, and we started looking last week at some of the evidence for the resurrection of Jesus Christ, just kind of sharing some reasons why I believe in it. And last week we talked about all the prophecies that were fulfilled in the person and the life of Jesus Christ. Today, I'd like for us to think about the empty tomb as evidence for the resurrection of Christ. All four Gospels make the claim that Jesus was crucified, that he was dead, and there's no way anyone could have survived that beating and survived crucifixion, that he was placed in a borrowed tomb, that there were security precautions taken, that there was a Roman guard placed there, the tomb was sealed, but then on the third day, the tomb was empty, and the claim is made that Jesus Christ really rose from the dead. Now, why would we believe this? Well, I believe it because of the eyewitness testimony, because of corroborating historical evidence, because there's no alternative theory really to explain it away. I also believe it because they presented women in giving testimony as eyewitnesses. And in that day and time, women weren't allowed to testify as witnesses in a court of law. So if you were fabricating a story, you would have no incentive to include women as witnesses. The only reason to include them is if that's what really happened. And so that's a reason I believe that the tomb really was empty. I believe it was empty because the apostles, the disciples, very shortly after the resurrection, and remember, they were cowards beforehand. They had run for their lives. They were boldly proclaiming the resurrection of Jesus in Jerusalem where all this took place. And the reality is the enemies of Christianity, of which there were many, all they had to do was produce a body and they could have shut up Christianity forever. Why didn't they? Because the body wasn't there, because the tomb was empty. And ultimately, these cowardly disciples gave their lives for this claim that Jesus had risen from the dead. And they knew whether or not there was a body in that tomb, and who would knowingly die for a lie, for something that's either a fact or not a fact. To me, I can trust their testimony because they gave their lives for it. So I believe that the tomb was empty because Jesus rose from the dead.